All right, so we're the International Sports Group, and we are going to be bringing you the top 4 events from around the world that happened this week from the Sports Business Journal. Coming in first, we have number 4. Okay, so starting us off here at number 4, we have something by the name of the Prospects Cup, which is it's a youth tournament, youth soccer tournament, which is being held this December in Kissimmee, Florida.
Which teams are in the tournament?
So we actually have domestic and international teams that are going to be participating in this year's Prospects Cup. It consists of 16 U12 teams. So yeah, and they're international and domestic. So we have teams like Roma, Manchester City, Real Madrid, LA Galaxy, and like those are obviously all professional sports teams, professional soccer clubs. But it's like their junior programs that are going to be participating in this tournament in Florida.
Sponsors helping out with this tournament?
Yeah, so actually the big news that's going on in the Prospects Cup recently, which is why it made it to the Sports Business Journal, is they recently got 4 new partners. We have Olive Garden, Gatorade, Tapia, and Sports Illustrated. I mean, obviously you know what all those are, except for probably Tapia, which is basically just like an app on your phone that it helps you replay videos back and stuff like that, so that you can the young players can see where they messed up, how they can improve, and all that kind of stuff. The VP of sales, of sponsorship sales, actually expects to get 3 to 4 more partners by the time that the tournament actually starts up in December.
Do they have any way that they're going to increase the revenue for this tournament?
So the revenue on this tournament is actually coming strictly from like concession sales and all that kind of stuff, because they're actually taking a strategy from the Little League World Series, which is all tickets are free. So I mean, if you want to go watch a game, it's free.
There are only 16 teams in this tournament.
Well, it's actually the first time that they're doing the Prospects Cup down in Florida. So they're starting off with 16 teams, see how it goes. But in future years, they actually plan to expand, add a couple extra teams, and eventually they want a completely different tournament for girls.
That's all we have for the Prospect Cup. Coming up next, we have number 3.
Up on our list is pole dancing.
They started to classify pole dancing as a sport because the International Governing Association started to realize that there's more physical and mental abilities that you need to have in order to do pole dancing.
So what will it take to be a top pole dancer in the Olympics?
You need to have great physical and mental excursion, and you need to have strength and endurance to lift the body up and to hold the body up. You also need to be flexible in order to do some crazy positions like the girl in the picture is doing.
What current sport would you compare pole dancing to in the modern Olympics?
They compare it to figure skating and dance, and they say it is a family-friendly event. And they also make sure that the athletes are clean because they have to do doping tests as well.
Arguments that are keeping this sport out of the Olympics?
I think the main thing keeping it out is the name of it because it says it's pole dancing, but they compare it to dance recitals and stuff, and they wear leotards and stuff like dancers would wear, so I think eventually it's going to be as big as any other event in the Olympics.
At number 2, we have esports in the Olympics, but before we get to that, here's a short clip on what to expect pole dancing to be like in the Olympics in the future if they decide to put it in there.
Quiero olvidar el aroma de tu cuerpo. Quiero olvidar el sabor de tus labios. Quiero tener por una vez una vida feliz. Por eso me voy.
Okay, so here at number 2, we have esports possibility in the future of the Olympics.
Now, esports as of right now is so far out of being in the Olympics that it's not really up for debate on whether it'll be in there in a couple of years or not, but the IOC has a new sponsor in Intel, and Intel decided that they wanted to hold an esports competition in the Olympic Park in Gyeongyang, South Korea, in the days leading up to the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. And this event is kind of like a test field to see how it'll work, and it'll see how the sponsors will react and how the fans will react, and see if they're able to actually intertwine this into the Olympics eventually.
So adding esports into the Olympics, like how would this add into the culture of the Olympics?
It would add another spectrum to what the Olympics is. It wouldn't be basketball, football, baseball, soccer, hockey. It wouldn't be all those sports. It would be another side of the world of gamers who come to compete in an environment which is seen behind us, where two teams play on a screen and the winners are then rewarded. And this is something that's new. It's something that not everyone would consider playing video games to be a sport. And in my mind, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not really sure if I think it should be a sport, but I definitely think it should be recognized because it does take an amount of skill. And the game that's being played at this trial run is StarCraft 2, and it is a real-time military strategy game which was released in 2010, and the setting will be based on how it is behind us. It'll be one side, one team, which is usually about 4 or 5 players who almost live together. They spend so much time together because it's like being on a team for a sport. You have to have chemistry, you have to have intelligence, you have to know what your team is going to do before they do it, and that's the only way for you to succeed. And that's why I think that it needs to be recognized, it needs to be put on the front page, and that's why being in the Olympics, or at least up until the Olympic Games, in an Olympic environment would help the sport of video games.
All right, so brace yourself, guys, because coming up next we have a video clip of what might be being added to the Olympics in the near future.
Killable Demon King has done just that as Ruler stays in, life-stealing. In the moment of truth, they flash on Faker, and they take out the heart of SK Telecom.
Faker had no flash when the fight started. They knew that, so they used everything to kill him.
A game-winning pick, a championship-winning pick for Ruler. That might be the Flash R that signals the end of the SKT dynasty.
So that basically wraps up E-Games and their future in the Olympic Games. Coming up next, we have number 1.
Coming in at number 1, we have a woman referee in soccer in Germany. Steinhaus, a woman referee that has drawn attention from the media nationwide. There has to be a lot of pressure in her position right now. Being it's such an important sport in Germany and being the first girl to referee a game there, picture walking out to be a referee there with 50,000 fans and the media's eye glaring on her. Now that it is happening for real, on September 10th, 2017, Steinhaus made history in Germany by becoming the first female to officiate a top-level league match. The setting was ionic too. Berlin's 74,000 capacity stadium has hosted the Olympic Games, World Cup matches, and the Championship League finals.
So those were our top 4 events in international sports news. Here are just a couple of the big stories that we didn't have enough time to fit in.
So Park Sung-young became the first rookie to top the LPGA golf rankings, and a few members of the UCLA men's basketball team were arrested in China on alleged shoplifting charges.
And actually just tonight, which is November 7th, Roy Halladay, which is a former pitcher in the MLB, his plane went down, crashed, and he died. And another big story was Major League Rugby. They just signed a 2-year broadcasting deal with NBCSN, so those games are going to be around.
Those are the top 5 events that are happening in international sports right now. The Olympic Games are a big event in the world, happening only every 2 years with the best of the best in each sport. Adding those 2 new games into the rotation could be very entertaining for the people. With a new girl referee in the sports, this could be a big breakthrough for girls internationally and in the U.S. right now for being a girl referee in any type of sport. The international sports continues to grow at an alarming rate, and it has been good for the countries and been good for the businesses overseas.